See me? Okay, I think I'm live, but it's lagging a bit. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. I'm very much live. Perfect, perfect. Fantastic. Okay, just give me a second, guys. Okay. I'll share the link with all of the students. Okay, I'm starting in a minute. Okay, I'm just sending the links. Okay, everybody, if I are able to hear me properly, okay, kindly say yes. If you're able to hear me properly, kindly say yes. Send your message in the chat box. Okay, if you are able to hear me properly, kindly say yes. Actually, we'll be starting in a minute. Okay, let everybody join. Yes, I'm waiting for students to join. Okay, yes, students have given a confirmation that they are able to hear me properly. Fantastic, guys, fantastic. Very, very good. Very, very good. Okay. I'll wait for a minute for everybody to join. Okay. I've just shared the links on the groups. Okay. So I'll just wait for a second to for students to join, and then we'll start with our session. Okay. We'll not waste any time. As you all know, costing is a big subject, right? So we'll not waste any time, right? Costing is a big subject. We have to finish it well in time. Okay. I think today we may be facing some internet issues. Don't know, like there are some issues which are going as of now. I feel that internet is not stable. Yeah, it's not stable. If you are facing any difficulties, let me know. Okay, okay. Students, are you able to hear me properly, or is there any lag which is happening? Are you able to hear me properly, or is there any lag which you are facing? Okay, audio is clear, but video is lagging. Just a second. Just a second. The internet is giving some trouble, so I'm just waiting for that. Yes, now I think it's working fine, and we can start with the session, right? Okay, now students, if it is all clear, kindly message, kindly text a yes. If it is all clear, audio, video, if everything is clear, kindly say yes. Okay, come on, so that we'll start with the session. Come on, if everything is clear, just text a yes. Okay, 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 okay. Perfect, perfect. So it's fine now. It's fine, right? Okay, very good. So students, if you face any kind of lag or some issues, then let me know. Okay, do let me know. Now, uh, okay, so I'll start with the session, right? I'll start with the real session. First of all, very, very good morning to all of you. Okay, I welcome you again to another revision session on cost accounting, right? Cost and management accounting. We have started the sessions, we have started the revisions in the last lecture, and now we'll proceed with the chapter of, we'll start with the revisions of the chapters of overheads, then we'll have the activity based costing. Okay, and if time permits, then either we'll be taking the cost sheet or maybe we'll be taking this cost accounting systems, okay, depending upon what time is left. Okay, now let's start with the concept of overheads. Now we all know what are overheads. So overheads are basically the indirect expenses, right? Overheads, what are overheads? So overheads are basically the indirect expenses which are connected with the production kind of. Okay, so if any indirect expense, okay, not only production, any indirect expense which is not directly traceable with the production is nothing but an overhead. So if that indirect expense is related to production, we say it's a production overhead. If that indirect expenses is related to the management of the entity or the decision making, then we treat it as an administrative overhead. If that indirect expense is related to selling of the goods or maybe distributing the goods, then we say that it's a selling and distribution overhead. Now, students, remember this, like for example, if I talk about the factory rent or maybe factory security guard salary or factory cleanup, depreciation of factory building, these are all part of production overheads. If I talk about office building rent, if I talk about office building depreciation of, or I can say managing director salary, or I may say office accountant salary, these are all part of administrative overheads. If I talk about, let's say, salesman salary or selling commission or traveling expenses of the salesman, this will all form part of the selling and the distribution overheads. Okay, so these are the basic classification of overheads. As we all know, these are all indirect expenses which are not related to the production as such. Okay, now, students, now what is important for us in this is how do we distribute this overheads over the various production and service departments. See, we are going to focus this chapter from exam perspective. I have already told you well in my previous lectures also, and now also I'm repeating this. We are going to focus it from the solving perspective because it's a practical chapter. Okay, now whenever we have to distribute the overheads, first we must understand that in any organization that there are going to be two kinds of departments. One is a production department and second is a service department. Okay, so in any organization we'll be having this two kinds of department. One is a production department and second is a service department, right? So there'll be some service department and production departments. What are the production departments doing? Production departments are actually producing something. Okay, they are producing maybe goods, they may be producing some units like that, and these service departments are giving services to either the production departments or maybe to production departments, and some services may be sold to outsiders, but generally we always presume that the service departments are giving services to the other production departments. Sometimes service departments may mutually give services to each other also. Okay, like, sir, what is an example of a service department? It's very simple. Like service department, the best example can be of a canteen. Now, what does a canteen do? It serves the workers of each and every department, right? So this service department, this canteen is giving its services to all other departments, like that. Okay. Now, is there any other example? Yes, payroll. Okay. Now, payroll will maintain payroll or timekeeping department. This will give its services to all other production departments to check when are their employees coming and going, what are the records and like that. Okay, so there can be like a lot of service departments. There can be IT, there can be canteen, there can be stores department, right? So there can be a lot of service departments as such, which will give their services to the production departments. Sometimes service departments may give services mutually also. Now, students, how do you distribute the overheads amongst various departments, maybe production or maybe service? Now, this procedure involves a lot of steps, and we'll be seeing that one after another. Okay. Now, first of all, I'll tell you one thing. We are over here, we are going to distribute the overheads. We are not concerned about the direct expenses. Direct expenses like direct material, direct labor, they are directly traceable to the production departments. So they are forming part of the direct expenses. So we are not concerned about that. We are concerned about the overheads. We are concerned about the expenses which we cannot directly correlate with the production. So what will happen is, suppose if I'm having, let's say, production department A, production department B, service department X, and service department Y. Okay, so I'm having two production departments and two service departments. Now, let us say there are some materials, indirect materials, which have been used by these departments. Okay, indirect materials. Now, indirect materials, the question will give you as it is, okay, like how much indirect material has been used by A, how much was B, how much for C, how much for X, and how much for Y. Let's say 10,000 was used by X, 50,000, for A, 50,000 was used by B, let's say 7,000 was used by X, and 19,000 was used by Y. Okay, so the question will give you straight away like how much indirect material is being taken up or is being consumed by the various departments, maybe production department or maybe service department. So students, understand what we have done is, when the question directly specifies that how much expenses of that particular department, we directly pick it up and we simply write it in the respective columns. We simply allocate it to the respective department. This process is called as allocation. Okay, so this is called as the allocation of overheads, direct assignment of whatever the overheads are. Okay, so this is possible when you are given straight away data of which overhead relates to which department. Now, sir, can you show me an example for this? Okay, I'll definitely give you an example where you will see that there is, yes, directly an allocation of overheads. Okay, as see, this is the overhead chapter. There's lot of theory given. Okay, but believe me, this theory is not relevant for us. This chapter is relevant from the practical perspective, not from the theory perspective. Okay, so we are focusing on this chapter from the practical perspective, and even I know when you are revising these things, obviously you have come here to understand the practicality, because this chapter is again a big one, right? This chapter is again a big one. Now, whenever we are distributing the overheads over various departments, there are some processes which we have to follow. The first process is nothing but the allocation stage. Okay, now students, I'll share a question with you. See this. Mm, just give me a second, please. Now, students, can you see this question? So there was lag in between. Okay, I'll start again. Okay, so as you can see in this question, okay, as you can see in this question, we have been provided with machine shop, packing, general plant, and this stores and maintenance. They have directly given you the respective amounts. What we have to do in this is we will directly write these figures in the answer for their respective in the respective columns. We are directly allocating the overheads. Okay, so you have understood this. Everybody have understood, whenever you have been given the data directly of production and service departments and which we have to directly write, this process is nothing but the allocation. Okay, this process is nothing but the allocation of overheads. Have you all understood this? Whenever you are solving a bigger question and you are given a data which is directly attributable to the respective department, we'll directly write it in that respective column. This is nothing but the allocation of overheads. See, what are we going to do in this chapter is we are going to distribute the overheads over various departments, and then we'll try to find the absorption rates in this chapter. Okay, this is the ultimate goal of the chapter. We have to find the ultimate absorption rates, machine hour rate and labor hour rate, like that. Okay, so we have to find all that. So for that, what we are trying to do is we are trying to distribute the overheads over respective departments. Okay, and then we'll be finding the various what you can say overhead rates. Have you all understood the allocation phase? Students, have you all understood the allocation phase? Straight away expenses given, directly distributed over various departments. Whatever the expenses are given, straight away divide it over the various departments. Perfect. Very good. So you have understood this, right? See, what is the ultimate objective? What are we trying to do? Okay, we are trying to divide the overheads over various departments. Understand? The question will give you some overheads which you have to divide over various departments and ultimately recover from the production. Okay, ultimately recover from the production. See, as the crash course, see, as an intermediate student, you are already expected to know some basics of the chapter, right? I'm discussing some basics. If you face any problem, kindly let me know. Okay, so whenever we are allocating overheads over various departments, the first process is called as the allocation of overheads, where you will directly put it in the respective columns, the amounts given. Okay, so superintendent salary, cost and payroll, direct data is given. So this is all allocation. Now, after the expenses which are straight away given have been distributed over the various departments, now our next job is to distribute the expenses which are not directly attributable to a particular department. Can you see this? There is one overhead which is given, that is rent. Can you tell me on what basis will you distribute it over the production departments and the service departments? See, in the question they have given you some data. What is the floor space? What is radiator section? What is the number of employees? Or how much is the investment of the sections? How much is the horsepower hours? So can you tell me which one will you exactly use to distribute rent over the various departments? It's very simple, right? It's very simple. What basis shall we use to distribute the rent over the various departments? Perfect, students. Absolutely perfect. Sanmita, Vaishnavi, Samitha. Absolutely perfect. So we will be using floor space. Perfect, perfect, guys. We'll be using the floor space to distribute this rent over the various departments, right? We'll be using the floor space to distribute this rent over the various departments. Absolutely perfect, students. Everybody, your answer is correct. Okay. So we'll be using floor space to distribute this rent over the various departments. Students, what is this process called? So the common expenses, we divide the common expenses over various departments using a suitable base. This process is called as apportionment. What is it called as? Apportionment. Okay, remember that. So whenever we use the common expenses, to distribute using a suitable base over the production and the service departments, we are doing a cost apportionment. Now, because we have to distribute this rent over the production and service departments, now we have been given that machine shop is using 2000 square feet, packing is using 800 square feet, general plant 400 square feet, and stores and maintenance 1600 square feet. So total is 4800 square feet for 12,000 rent. So come on, let us calculate what is the rent for 1 square feet. So it's very simple. I'm paying 12,000 for 4800 square feet. So 12,000 divided by 4800. So per square feet, I'm paying 2.5 rupees. Now the machine shop is having 2000 square feet. So into 2000, I'll write 5000 square feet. I'll write 5000 is the expense for the machine shop. Similarly, packing is using 800 square feet. So 800 into 2.5, it is coming 2000. Similarly, 400 for this is exactly half, so it will be 1000, and 1600 will be 4 times, so that will be 4000. Like this, we will distribute each and every expenditure, each and every common expenditure. See this: power, rent, fuel, heat, insurance, trade license fee, depreciation. Will divide all the common expenses over all the departments on some suitable basis. This process is called as the cost apportionment. Okay. Now, students, when you are distributing this, we are distributing between all. Maybe a production department, maybe a service department. We will be distributing amongst all of them. Okay. Now, what will happen after that? Suppose, for example, I have distributed the indirect material, I have distributed the rent. Okay. Now, indirect material was straight away given, that was allocation. Rent, let's say I have distributed 5000, 4000, 3000, and 2000. Okay. I have distributed like that. That was on the basis of area. Okay. This is on the basis of area. Now, I'll take the totals of production and service departments. So 15,000. 54,000, 10,000, and 21,000. Now, students, I have got the total of overheads for the production departments and the service departments. Now, the problem is the service departments do not go outside to collect revenues. The service departments give their service, distribute the overheads of X department and Y department over the production departments A and B. So we have to distribute the expenses of X and Y over A and B, and this distribution is going to be, whenever we are dividing this X and Y over A and B, this process is called as reapportionment. Okay, this process is called as the reapportionment. Whenever we have to distribute the service department overheads over the production departments, the process is called as reapportionment. Okay. And when we are trying to do this reapportionment, there are 3 methods. Okay, there are 3 methods to distribute the service department overheads over the production departments. What are the 3 methods? The first is direct redistribution method. The first one is direct redistribution method, where what we will do is we'll directly distribute this 10,000 between A and B and 21,000 between A and B. So we will assume that X do not give service to Y and Y do not give service to X. That is direct redistribution method. The second is step ladder method. The second is step ladder method. Now, what a step ladder method is, this method presumes that one service department gives service to the other, but the other one do not give service to the first department. So here I'll assume that X gives service to A, B, and Y. So the expense of X will be, suppose the expense of X is 10,000. So let's say I have distributed 4,000, 4,000, 3,000. So I have distributed some part of X to Y. Now Y already was 21 plus 3 now, so 24. This 24 I'll distribute between only A and B. This is a step ladder method. Okay, this is a step ladder method, and the second name for it is non-reciprocal services method. non-reciprocal services method. That's the name for it. Okay, non-reciprocal services method. And the third one is, see, so this step ladder method, this presumes that one service department gives service to the other, but the second one do not give service to the first one. The third thing is, when both the service departments give services to each other, we call it as reciprocal services method. Reciprocal services method. And when we are doing this reciprocal services method, when both of them are giving the services to each other, it means that over the, like this x, the total cost of x will have some share for y, and the total cost of y will have some share for x. Okay, so when we are doing that, this is the reciprocal services method. So for this, when they are giving services to each other, here also three methods are there. So one is a simultaneous equation method. Simultaneous equation method. Second is trial and error method. I'll repeat all this again because I know this part is not easy. Okay. So trial and error method and repeated distribution method. Repeated distribution method. Now students, departments and service department, there are two production, two service departments for which they have already given allocated overheads. They have given the allocated overheads, they have given the allocated overheads to be apportioned, they have given the basis on which the overheads have to be apportioned. Then they have told you, determine the service department distribution by method of continued distribution or repeated distribution to 3 cycles. Students understand this point now. In overheads chapter, when we have to distribute the overheads over various departments, there is a sequence that we have to follow. The first item what we should do is, that should be then allocation. The expenses which are straight away given have to be directly put it in their respective columns. Second, then there are some common expenses which we have to distribute over the production and the service departments in the ratio of some suitable basis. Okay, so we have to divide it on some suitable basis. Like rent, I'll distribute in the area of floor space, right? Maybe then I'll have this power which I can use this for power. I'll be using the horsepower hours. For fuel and heat, I'll be using the radiator sections, right? I'll be using the radiator sections for that. Insurance, trade license fees, depreciation, I'll require an investment for that. Okay, so on this basis, I'll be distributing the expenses. And after doing all that, what will happen is, I'll get a total of the production departments, I'll get some totals of the service department. Now the service department overheads, because they do not go outside to collect money, they are giving services to the production departments. So their expense is also to be charged to the production departments, and this process is called as reapportionment. Distributing the service department overhead to the production departments. When we are doing this reapportionment, there are 3 methods for that. The first one, the redistribution method, the first one is direct redistribution method. Whenever we are, friends, are you able to hear me very clearly? There was some lag in between, I feel. Kindly check. Is it fine? Are you able to hear all the things what we have discussed till now? Yes, sometimes it is getting disconnected in between. Okay, today I think the internet is not seamless. I feel there is some disturbance in between. Okay. So in case what happens is, I am very much involved in teaching. So in case you miss out on a certain point, you are not able to understand, please let me know. Okay, we'll discuss it again. Okay, we'll discuss again. In case you have missed out on any point, do let me know. We'll discuss again. Okay. So we have done this direct redistribution method. We have seen this when one service department gives service to the other, but the second one do not give service to the first one, we have non-reciprocal service method. And when both service department give services to each other, there is a reciprocal service method. In the reciprocal services, when both of them are giving services to each other, there also three methods are there. The first one was simultaneous equation method. Okay, the first one is simultaneous equation, the second one is trial and error, and the third is repeated distribution method. This is part of the reciprocal services method. Now students, I'll take you to some questions, okay, which will help you to actually understand what we are trying to do. Okay, see, this reciprocal is having simultaneous equation, trial and error, and repeated distribution method. Now students, please come to the questions. Okay, I'll give you an example for direct redistribution first. This is a big chapter. Okay, this is a very big chapter. Now students, see this. I'm on question number 1. Okay, so in case you are having your notes with you, please open question number 1. Excel Limited has 3 production departments and 4 service departments. So there are some 3 production and 4 service departments. The following information is available. They have given you horsepowers of the machine, they have given you number of workers, and they have given you the stores acquisition. Prepare a statement apportioning the cost of service department over production department using direct redistribution method. We have to apportion the cost of the service department over production department using direct redistribution method. Students, fix it in your mind. Direct redistribution method assumes that no service department gives service to each other. मतलब ये assume करेगा कि स्टोर वाले भी कैंटीन में खाना नहीं खाते, टाइम कीपिंग वाले कैंटीन में खाना नहीं खाते, पावर वाले भी कैंटीन में खाना नहीं खाते. ये अज्यूम करेगा कि टाइम कीपिंग में कैंटीन के रिकॉर्ड्स नहीं है. Okay, so direct redistribution method assumes no service department gives service to each other. So what I'll do is, this store's expenditure of 4 lakh rupees, I will divide only between A, B and C. That is direct redistribution. Obviously baat hai, this is stores department, so I'll distribute it in the ratio of stores requisition. Timekeeping and accounts, the purpose is to maintain the records of the employees. So this expense will be distributed between A, B and C in the ratio of number of workers. Power, this obviously will be distributed in the ratio of the horsepower of the machine, and canteen expenses is obviously for food, so it has to be distributed in the ratio of the number of workers. Okay, now students, this is direct redistribution method. Now just to understand, okay, that you are getting the calculations, can you tell me, if I distribute this canteen expenses to A, B and C, how much will be for A? Come on, distribute this. Canteen expenses, obviously I have to distribute it in the ratio of number of workers. Tell me what will be the amount for A. Come on, calculate that. 1 lakh is the expenditure. See the number of workers for A, B and C. Now tell me how much is going to be the expense for A. How much will be the expense for A? Come on, if you are getting that right, I will understand that yes, you are getting the calculations. So Arya, your answer is correct. Obviously, yes. Perfect, students. Perfect. Okay, so Arya, then you have Soham, Abhijit, Shriyaksha, Samitha, Vaishnavi, Bhavya, Moksha, Shreya, Arya, Bharat, Sanmita, Satyajit, Pujita, Shiv Karthik. Okay, so everybody, your answers are absolutely perfect. Okay, so you all have understood how we have to distribute it with the help of direct redistribution method. See this, that was the overhead as per the primary distribution. This was it. Okay, 30, 20 and 6 and this. And then we have distributed each and every expense in the respective ratios. Can you see the columns which we have to make in the solutions? We have to write the names, we have to write the bases, totals, and the respective production departments. Now students, the next one is step method. Step method assumes that whenever you are distributing the service department overhead, one will give to service to the other, but the second one will not give service to the first one. This is interesting. Okay, Now, so which one to distribute first? Then you have to distribute those departments first who gives the services to the maximum number of departments. Now, can you see this question? See this. In illustration number 2, you have been again provided with four departments, two are production and two are service departments. Okay. So production departments are A and B and service departments are X and Y. Now you can see department X is giving the service 25% to Y, 40% to A and 35% to B. Y is giving services to only A and B. Y is not giving service to X. Okay, so this is non-reciprocal. I am giving service to you, you are not giving me back. X is giving service to Y 25%, but Y is not giving back. Okay, Y is not giving anything to X now. Now understand this point. Whenever if this is the question, okay, which department should be distributed first in the distribution statement, you must distribute the departments which give the maximum number of services. Like X gives the service to Y also, A also, B also. So distribute X first. So what will happen? I'll distribute this 2 lakh in the ratio 25, 40, 35. Now can you tell me when I'll be distributing for Y? Shall I distribute only 1,50,000 or I shall distribute 150 plus the share of X also? Obviously, it is plus the share of X also. So see what happens. I have distributed first X in Y, A and B. So out of X, 25%, that is 50,000 has gone to Y. So now the total of Y is coming 2 lakh. And now when I am distributing the overheads of Y, it is only between A and B and I am distributing the entire 2 lakh. It means it's self expenditure and the share of X expenditure. Okay, so this is how we have to distribute in the step ladder method. So students, which one will you distribute first? Obviously, the answer will be the department which gives the maximum number of services have to be distributed first. Everybody, is it clear? Step ladder method, have you thoroughly understood now how we have to do? Come on, step ladder method, is it thoroughly clear? Perfect. So now the next one is very good. Okay, so now the next one is reciprocal services method. Students, what are reciprocal services method? Basically, where both of them will give services to each other. Now, to solve this, see, understand when both of them are giving services to each other, it means that suppose, for example, X and Y are giving services to each other. It means that X expenditure should also include a share of Y expenditure and Y's expenditure should also include a share of the X expenditure. Right? They are giving services to each other. So if like X is giving service to Y, so the X expenditure should also be given to Y department. Right? So like that. So when we are distributing it, we have to follow one of the three methods. One is simultaneous equation, one is trial and error, and one is repeated distribution. Answer from all the three methods is always the same. Okay, so do not worry about it. Now I'll solve the simultaneous one because that is the challenging one. Others are easy. Service department expenses, boiler house is given, pump room is given. You can see the service department expenses are boiler house 3 lakh, pump room 60,000, total 360. Now boiler house is giving services 60% to production department A, 35% to B and 5% to pump room. Okay. Pump room is giving 10% to A, 40% to B and 50% to again a service department which is the boiler house. Now, students, first of all, you should understand boiler house expenses 3 lakh, but this is not proper. Why? Because boiler house total expenses will be 3 lakh plus a share of the pump room expenses also. Why? Because pump room is giving 50% of its service to the boiler house. Pump room is giving 50% of the service to the boiler house. So the expense of pump room 50% should be given to the boiler house. Similarly, the boiler house is also giving 5% service to the pump room. So the pump room expense will obviously not be 60,000. It should include a share of the expense from the boiler house. Now, how to solve this kind of questions? When you have to do this, what we will do is, let's say this is boiler house and this is pump room. What is the cost given? The cost which is given is 3,60,000. 3 lakh 3 lakh and 60,000. So 3 lakh is there and 60,000 is there. Okay, cost which is given. What will be their total cost? Now, what is total cost? Let us assume the total cost of boiler house is X and the total cost of the pump room is Y. Okay, the total cost of pump room is Y. Now, what happens is boiler house gives 5% of services to the pump room. So whatever is the cost of the boiler house, which is X, the 5% of X will be charged to the pump room. 5% means 0.05x. Okay, that is reapportion expenses. Yeah, share of expenses. So X, 5% of this X will be charged to the pump room, and similarly, the pump room is giving 50% of its service to the boiler house, right? Pump room is giving 50% of the service to the boiler house. So this Y, 50% of this Y, it means 0.5Y, 0.5Y will be charged to the boiler house. So 50% of this will be charged to the boiler house. I hope everybody has understood what you have to do. Okay, 50% of this will be charged to Y. Now what will happen is, I'll get two equations. The first one is 3 lakh plus 0.5y is equal to x. And the second equation will be 60,000 plus 0.05x will be equal to y. I'll get two simultaneous equations which I'll solve. I'll get the total of cost of for the boiler house, including the share of expenses from the pump room. And similarly, I'll get the total of expenses for the pump room, including the share of the boiler house. Have you all understood how you have to frame this? I have assumed, see, the cost were given. I have assumed the cost of the boiler house together with the share as X and the cost of the pump room together with the share as Y. So pump room is giving 50% service to the boiler house. So its 50% was charged to the boiler house. And similarly, boiler house was giving 5% to X. So 0.05 transferred it to the pump room. Then you will get the totals, right? 3 lakh plus 0.5 of Y is giving you the total cost for the boiler house. And 60,000 plus 0.05x is giving you the total cost for the pump room. Okay, I'll get two simultaneous equations which I can normally solve like mathematics. Okay, and then I'll get the total cost for X and Y, and then I'll directly distribute it over various. They have also made these two equations. They have solved it. They have got the values for the pump room. They have got the values for the boiler house. Okay, they have got the values for the pump room. They have got the values for the boiler house also. Where is it? Yes, they have got the values for boiler house also, and then they have distributed it between A and B directly. They have distributed this between A and B directly. Now A and B, how come they have directly distributed? The total cost 60% will go to A, 35 to B, like that. They have directly distributed the total cost between A and B. Okay. So have you all understood this sequence, students? Have you all understood this simultaneous equation method? It's a very easy method, to be very frank. It's very, very easy method. Now, the next one is trial and error method. The next one is a trial and error method. Now, what we have to do in a trial and error method, now students, come to illustration number 4. Now, I have to tell you something. This are A, B, C are production departments, X and Y are service departments. Students, see this very carefully. This question actually has a hidden adjustment. In fact, an adjustment which is slightly tricky. A, B, C are production departments, X and Y are service departments. Now, guys, you tell me, can we include direct materials in the overhead statement? Come on, can we include the direct expenses in the overhead statement? The direct material, direct wages, shall we include this in the, what do you say, overhead distribution statement? Yes or no? Yes or no? There is some tricky thing over there. A, B, C are production departments, X and Y are service departments. They have given you the direct material for all the departments. So, what to do? Okay, come on, students. There is the tricky thing over there. Direct material and direct wages. Very good, Abhijit. Very good. So I've got a correct answer. I've got a correct answer. I'm very happy. See, understand, direct materials and direct wages are direct expenses. Okay, they are direct expenses, so they will never be included in an overhead statement. But the thing is, for service departments, students, for service department, direct expenses are also considered as indirect only, because the service departments are itself indirect departments. The service departments are itself overheads. So that is why you will not consider the direct material for A. You will not consider the direct material for B. You will not consider the direct material for C. Similarly, you will not consider the direct wages. But for X and Y, you have to take both of them. Okay, you, for X and Y, you have to take for both of them. Okay, understand this. So, uh, students, so I have finally got for this service department some expenses straight away. This phase was the allocation. Now I have to distribute the common expenses. This phase is the apportionment. Okay, and after doing this, see this. We have been given that X department is giving services to all the departments including Y. Y is giving services to all the departments including X. Okay, now we have to use a trial and error method to divide these expenses. Sir, what is trial and error method? It is very simple method. In trial and error, what we do is X, the share of X will be given to Y, share of Y will be given to X. We'll make a chart. Now see this. First of all, direct material and direct wages, I have already told you, will not take for A, B and C, but will take for X and Y. Common expenses distributed amongst all. We have got the total. Now what we have to do in a trial and error method, now ignore all other departments, just see X and Y. The total of X is 475 and the total of Y is 535. We know it has been given in the question that X is giving 10% to Y and Y is giving 5% to X, right? X is giving 10% to Y, Y is giving 5% to X. So what I'll do is, out of X, give 10% to Y, whatever the total of Y, give 5% to back to X. See this. I'm doing a statement only for X and Y. Out of the expense of X, give 10% to Y. Take the total, give 5% back to X. Now give 10% back to Y. Now whatever it is, give again 5% to X. Okay, and this will keep on happening till the time the answers are not in decimals, or not decimals as in not in 1 digit or 2 digit like that. We'll keep on doing this. Okay, then we'll get the total, and after getting this total, we'll distribute it between A, B and C in this ratio. In this ratio, we'll distribute it between A, B and C. Have you all understood the trial and error method? It is very simple. Okay, first make the allocation, then the apportionment, total, and after getting the totals, just see only the service departments. What you will do is X distributed to Y, take the total, right? X distributed to Y, take the total, Y distributed to X, right? Then again, what we'll do, X will be distributed to Y. Now we have got some expense for Y, so Y will be distributed to X. Y will be distributed to X, like that. It will keep on happening like that. Okay, and whatever is the total, ultimate total after distribution of each and every expenditure, what you will do is, after getting the ultimate total, You will distribute in the general whatever the percentages have been given. Have you all? Is it clear now? Is it clear? Trial and error. Any doubts? Any queries? See, the questions are quite big. You will have to solve it on your own only. Okay, because the time does not permit us, because there's a crash thing, right? So we are focusing on the concepts. Okay, we are focusing on the concepts, but if you are not understanding, just keep on asking. We'll discuss each and every concept in detail. Time doesn't permit us to actually solve the problems. By the way, I'll tell you something. In recent papers, I have seen that this kind of questions are actually not coming up. Okay, there's big questions like repeated distribution, or maybe trial and error, or repeated distributions. Okay, simultaneous equations. These problems are generally not coming these days. So what are coming these days is basically the machine hour rate problems, or the problems which are based on this over absorption of overheads, under absorption of overheads. Okay, this kind of problems are actually coming in the exams. Students, is it clear? Only few students are replying. What about others? If it is not clear, please ask your queries. Okay, if it is not clear, please ask. Come on. The next method is a repeated distribution method. The next, okay, there was lag, so I have stopped actually. So in trial and error, X was distributed to Y was distributed to X, and their ultimate totals were distributed amongst all the three. In repeated distribution method, what we do is, in repeated distributions method, we distribute the expense of X among not only Y, we'll distribute the expense of X to A, B, C, and Y, all of them. When we will be distributing the expense of Y not only to X, but we'll be distributing to expense of Y to A, B, C, and X, like that. So this method is a repeated distribution method. Okay, this is a repeated distribution method. Pick up the expense of X, distribute amongst all of them. Pick up expense for Y, distribute it among all of them. So here in one chart, you will get your ultimate answer, like that. And always remember, when you are making a overhead, what do you say, repeated distribution or distributions reapportionment, basically, you don't require a total column. You don't require a total column when you are making a, what do you say, redistribution or reapportionment of service department overheads. Now, the next concept is machine hour rate. Now, how do you calculate the machine hour rate? Whatever are the ultimate overheads of the production department after doing all this process, whatever are the ultimate overheads of A, B, and C, you will divide it by the respective machine hours, and you will find for one machine hour how much is the overhead that that particular department is doing. Okay, so how to do that? Total overheads divided by the respective machine hours, you will get for like one machine hour, how much is the amount of the overheads which are being done. Now students, whenever we have to distribute this overheads, whenever we have to calculate this machine hour rate or any other rate to absorb overheads, there are many bases for this. There are many other bases for this, and see this. There are 6 methods to absorb overheads over various products or jobs. The first method is percentage of direct materials. The second is a percentage of prime cost. Take the percentage of direct materials, like you can calculate if the overheads are, let's say, 1 lakh and materials is 5 lakh. So you'll understand that yes, materials is 5 lakh, overhead is 1 lakh. So overheads are 20% of the materials. So calculate as a percentage of materials. So if a job will have, let's say, I'll give you an example proper. Let's say materials 5 lakh, overheads 1 lakh. So how much is the percentage? Obviously 20%. Now let's say for job X, materials required are, let's say, 8,000 rupees. For job X, materials required are 8,000 rupees. Can you tell me how much overheads will you charge him? How much overheads will you charge to that particular job X? How much overheads will you charge to that particular job X? Come on. How much overheads will you charge to that particular job X? If materials is 5 lakh, overheads is 1 lakh. Okay, so we all know percentage of direct materials is coming 20%. No, Arya, there is some error. Materials are 8,000, then how much overheads to charge? Soham, Abhijit, Srilaksha, Nagesh, Pujita, Samita, all your answers are correct. That is 20%. 20%. So that will be 1600. That will be 1600 rupees. Perfect. Perfect. Now your answers are correct. Arya, Siddhesh, the answers are correct. So that is going to be 1600 rupees. Okay. Perfect. So this way we recover the overheads over the various jobs and various products on the basis of maybe direct material, on the basis of prime cost, or you may calculate a percentage of direct labor cost. You may calculate a labor hour rate. Now, sir, what is labor hour rate? Basically, the overheads divided by the labor hours, you will get the overheads for per labor hour. Similarly, overheads divided by machine hours, you get the overhead per machine hour. Similarly, overhead divided by the number of units, so you get the overheads per unit. Like that, we can find any suitable base to recover our overheads. Okay. Now, there are four different types of overhead rates. One is a normal rate. One is a predetermined overhead rate, which is pre-calculated. The third one is blanket overhead rate, where you have a single overhead rate for the entire factory. And one is a department overhead rate, where you have a single overhead rate for the entire department, not for the factory, but for the entire department. Okay, so these are the four rates. Normal is actually the actual rate only. Normal rate over here, it means the actual rate, basically the actual expenses. So there are four kinds of overhead rates. One is a normal rate, where the normal is actually the actual rate only. Predetermined overhead rate, where you will calculate well in advance how much are the estimated overheads. The third one is a blanket overhead rate, where you will calculate overhead for the entire factory. And the last one is a department overhead rate, where you will calculate the overhead for each department. And now, how do you treat the under and over absorption of overheads? See, understand, ultimately we have to recover the overheads from our customers. We have to recover the overheads from our customers. So, recovery is always on the basis of estimates. It may happen like we may recover more overheads from our customers, or we may recover lesser overheads than actuals from our customers. So if there is any under absorption or over absorption, see, under absorption is under recovery, which is not good for us, and over absorption means over recovery, which is actually good for us. So if the under absorption or over absorption is a very small amount, then it will be charged to costing P&L. If the under over absorption is due to a wrong estimation, factory inefficiency, or maybe abnormal reasons, all will be charged to costing P&L account. In case if that is because of the rise in cost of the things which are there, then you will calculate a supplementary rate, and for the goods which have been sold, you will charge the supplementary rate to the cost of sales account. For the goods which are still there in the stock, you will charge it to finished goods account, and for the goods which are still in the process, you will charge the supplementary rate to the work in process account. Now, I'll tell you one thing, this is something important. Okay, this is something important, because the questions based on this topic have been coming in the exams. This one and the machine hour rate. Okay, these two are extremely important from our exam perspective. I'll do one thing. I'll take an example first. Okay, I'll take an example for this. Now, students, see this question. This question is based on machine hour rate. Okay, this question is based on machine hour rate. A machine costing 1 crore is expected to run for 10 years. Okay, machine costing 1 crore is expected to run for 10 years. At the end of this period, its scrap value is likely to be 9 lakh rupees. Repairs during the whole life of the machine are expected to be 18 lakh. Machine is expected to run for 4380 hours per year on an average. Its electricity consumption is 15 units per hour, the rate being 5 rupees. Machine occupies one-fourth of the area of the department and has 2 points out of total of 10 for lighting. Foreman has to devote one-sixth of his time to the machine. The monthly rent is 30,000, lighting 8,000 per month, and foreman is paid a monthly salary of 19,200. Find out the machine hour rate, assuming insurance is 1% of 1 crore and expense on oil is rupees 300 per month. Now, how do we calculate machine hour rate? So, first of all, you should understand this. What exactly is machine hour rate? Basically, take the total of all the overheads, divide it by the number of machine hours which you are spending on that, okay, which you are getting the output from that, okay. So, you will get how much overheads are there for every single hour, okay. You will get that, okay. Now, what I'll do is I'll make up a statement. Okay, you can also do it with me together. Machine is costing 1 lakh, expected to run for 10 years. First, I'm calculating the expense for 1 year and I'll divide it by the number of hours per year, and then I'll easily get how much is per hour overhead. Okay, how much is the machine hour rate? By the way, they have given, right? Machine is expected to run for 4380 hours per year. See, machine is costing 1 crore for 10 years and the scrap value will be 9 lakh. So, how much will be the depreciation for the year? How much will be the depreciation? Come on, do calculate, please. How much will be the depreciation then? 1 crore is the cost, 9 lakh will be the scrap value. So, your cost is 91 lakh. 91 lakh for 10 years. So, basically, 9 lakh 10,000 is a depreciation for the year, right? Next, repairs during the whole option is 15 units per hour, and we are expecting it to run for 4380 hours. So electricity 4380 hours into 4380 hours into 15 units, and the rate is 15. Rate is 5, sorry. 15 into 5. Okay, come on, do this. So 4380 into 15 units per hour into 5. So 3,28,500. 3,28,500 is the total number of is the total electricity expenditure. Machine occupies one-fourth of the area of the department. The rent is given 30,000. So rent is 30,000. So one-fourth area is occupied by the machine. So rent 30,000 into one-fourth, because we are occupying only one-fourth, and for 12 months, right? And for 12 months. So the answer will be 90,000. Similarly, this is monthly, right? Lighting charges are 8,000 per month and we are having 2 points out of 10. So lighting charge 8,000 is the cost into 2 by 10 for 12 months, right? Into 2 by 12 for so 8,000 divided by 5 into 12, so it will come 19,200. And they have told you that monthly salary of the foreman is 19,200 and foreman devotes one-sixth of his time, right? So foreman salary, foreman 19,200 is his salary. He devotes one-sixth the time for 12 months. 19,200 38,400. 38,400. So this way it works. Find out the machine hour rate, assuming insurance is 1% of 1 lakh, 1 crore, sorry. So insurance will be how much? Insurance will be 1 lakh. And oil is given 900 per month. So 900 into 12. So 10,800, right? Now I'll take the total of all the above expenses. Let's take the total. It's coming 1676,900 divided by 4380 hours. So it is coming 382.85 something. 382.85 something. You can check that. Okay, it's coming 382.85 something. Any doubts, students? Any queries in this? 382.85. They have done a very different calculation. They have done the calculation directly per month and per hour. I have done my entire calculation on the basis of this. What do you say, per year? Okay. Students, have you all understood how to calculate the machine hour rate? Taking the total of all the overheads, dividing by the number of hours, you'll get the machine hour rate. This is important from exam perspective. That is why we have solved the question based on this topic. Is it clear? Is it clear? Yes, students, is it clear? I've got one query over here. Insurance on 1 crore or 91 lakh. Insurance we can, they have already given in the question. They have already given in the question only. See, assuming insurance of 1% per annum on 1 crore. That is the, I have directly taken on 1 crore. That is 1 lakh. Okay, Nagesh? Come on, everybody else, do keep on interacting. If you don't interact, then maza nahi aayega. But always keep on interacting. Okay, the more you interact, the more you learn. Remember that. Always keep on interacting. Now, coming to the next part where you have that under and over absorption. One question I'll be taking for this also. Okay, one question I'll be taking for this so that this topic will also get covered. The total overhead expense of the factory is 446,380. Taking into account the normal working of the factory, overhead was recovered at the rate of 1.25 rupees per hour. Okay, 1.25 rupees per hour. The actual hours were 293,104. State how do you proceed to close the books of the accounts, assuming that 7,800 units were produced, 7,000 were sold, 200 equivalent units in work in progress. On investigation, it was found that 50% unabsorbed overhead was on account of increase in the cost of indirect materials, and remaining 50% was due to factory inefficiency. Now, students, first of all, they have given that the actual expense is 446,380. Our recovery rate was 1.25 and we have worked for only 293,104 hours, right? We have worked for only this many hours, 293,104. Now, what we have to do is multiply this by 1.25, right? Multiply this by 1.25. So, we'll get how many overheads were recovered. Come on, multiply this by 1.25. Chaliye. So, 293,104 multiplied by 1.25. I got 380. This many overheads I had recovered, but the actual overheads came to 446,380. So my under absorption was 80,000. How much was my under absorption? 80,000, right? I have recovered less. So Understand this thing. 446, 380 is the expenditure. 366, 380 is what I have recovered. How I have calculated? My recovery rate was 1.25 per hour and the actual hours worked were 293, 104. So multiply this by this, you'll get the recovered overheads. This were the actual overheads deducted. I got the under absorption. Now, students, the treatment of under absorption. If it is due to factory inefficiency, it will go to costing P&L. They have told you 50% is due to factory inefficiency. So take its 50%. It's 50%, basically 40,000 will straight away go to costing P&L. Costing P&L, but remaining 50% was due to increase in the cost of indirect materials, right? Increase in the cost of indirect materials and indirect labor. So you have to absorb this over the other units on the basis of a supplementary rate. So 40,000 has gone to costing P&L and still I am left with 40,000. Still I'm left with 40,000, right? 40,000 is gone to costing P&L, 50%, remaining 40,000 is still left. I have to absorb it using a supplementary rate. Sir, how do we calculate the supplementary rate? How do we calculate the supplementary rate? We calculate the supplementary rate by the total unabsorbed overheads, okay, obviously which are without any abnormal reasons. So that is 40,000 divided by the equivalent units of goods which are produced. How many units are produced? See, 7,800 were produced and 200 were still in the process. Okay, equivalent units are there. So ultimately I have produced 7,800 and 200. So that is 8,000 basically. So 40,000 upon 8,000. So that gives you rupees 5 per unit. Rupees 5 per unit. That is the supplementary rate that you have to charge to each and every unit. Okay, because the cost have increased, so we must increase the cost of our inventories also. Now students, out of this 8,000 units, what is the breakup? 7,000 units sold. So where will it be? Where will its cost be? It is going to be in cost of sales account. Cost of sales account. 800 units are in stock, finished goods stock. So its balance will be in finished goods control account. 200 equivalent units are in 200 equivalent units are there in WIP. So its cost will be in WIP control account. Its cost will be there in the WIP control account. Now understand this. This supplementary rate of 5 rupee per unit, you have to charge like this. So cost of sales account debit, 7,000 into 5, that is 35,000. 800 into 5, finished goods control account debit, that will be 4,000. Then I have 200 units in WIP. So WIP control account debit 1,000, 200 into 5. So 1,000. So I've got 40,000. And abnormal, because of factory inefficiency, that was 40,000, right? So costing P&L account debit 40,000 to overhead control account or production overhead control account, you can write 80,000. So the amount of under absorption will be credited to the overhead control account and will be charged to how many units, whichever units are sold, we will charge it to cost of sales account. For the units which are there in stocks, we'll charge it to finished goods control account. For the units which are there in the WIP, we'll charge it to WIP. For the factory inefficiencies or basically abnormal scenarios, we'll charge it to costing P&L and we'll credit it to the overhead control account. Everybody, is it clear? This is how we have to process this, what do you say, under and over absorptions of overheads. In case it would have been an over absorption, the entry will be exactly the opposite of that. Is it thoroughly clear now? Excuse me. Absolutely perfect. Yes, students. Is it clear? Come on, guys, keep interacting. Okay, Samitha, Arya, Malika, Jeet, fine. So this was there. This is all from the chapter of overheads. One small concept is pending, and that is this capacity. So there are some capacity concepts over there. Okay, there are some capacity concepts like the installed capacity, practical capacity, normal capacity, actual capacities, and ideal capacities. Now I'll give you a brief idea about these capacities. Yes, students. Anybody having any doubts in the previous one? Please ask. If you are having any difficulties, any doubts in the previous topic, please ask. Come on, why is not everyone interacting? Why is not everyone interacting? Come on, students, do keep on interacting. If you are having any difficulties, please ask. And okay, okay. Students, do keep on interacting and okay, no doubts, right? Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead. So now there are some concepts which are related to capacity. First one is the installed capacity. Installed capacity is basically the theoretical capacity, the maximum capacity which is there. Okay, but this is not practically achievable. Like for example, if I talk about my computer, it is showing like it can have 2.4 gigahertz of capacity, but that's the installed capacity. You never work at that capacity. Then the second one is practical capacity. Okay, practical capacity is something where what you do is you from the capacities which have been given to you, you remove the normal idle time and all that. Okay, so this is practically, this is what is achievable. This is what you can achieve. Okay, so that's the practical capacity. But it is not necessary that what you can achieve is actually what you are achieving. Normal capacity is basically the capacity which you are achieving on an average over a period of years. Okay, so मतलब जैसे इंस्टॉल्ड कैपेसिटी का मतलब बेटा यहाँ पे ये होता है कि जितना हम लोग अचीव कर सकते हैं, है ना. इंस्टॉल्ड कैपेसिटी का मतलब क्या है, यहाँ पे जो मैन्युफैक्चरर ने इंस्टॉल करके रखी है, लेकिन उतना कभी प्रैक्टिकली अचीव हो नहीं पाता. प्रैक्टिकल कैपेसिटी जितना आप अचीव कर सकते हैं मैक्सिमम. ओके, मतलब बगैर कोई आइडल टाइम, ये नॉर्मल आइडल टाइम वगैरह हटा कर, ठीक है, जो प्रैक्टिकली आप कभी लाइफ में अचीव कर सकते हैं, दैट्स अ प्रैक्टिकल कैपेसिटी. लेकिन जरूरी नहीं है कि हम जितना अचीव कर सकते हैं उतना ही हमने अचीव किया हो. सो ऑन एन एवरेज वॉट एवर कैपेसिटीज वी आर एक्चुअली यूजिंग, ओके, what we have seen over a period of years, that is the normal capacity. Like over the past 5 years, past 10 years, whatever the averages we are actually getting is called as the normal capacity. The next one is the actual capacity. Actual capacity is basically your current actual capacity, what you are achieved. Okay, what you have achieved. And the next one is idle capacity. Now, what is idle capacity? So, idle capacity is basically where you are not utilizing the plant. It is as simple as that. So, these are the 5 different capacity concepts. I've got a query, illustration number 9. Okay, let me check. Illustration number 9 is the query. Okay, so again, Prajwal, I think I'll request you, because this is a big question. Okay, so I'll request you to kindly connect with me personally on this. Many students are already connecting with me personally for the doubts what are they having. Okay, so I'll suggest you kindly connect with me personally on this. Okay, my numbers you are all having on the WhatsApp, right? So you can connect with me personally. I'll solve whatever queries you may be having in this particular problem, right? There's a big question, and I'll tell you something. This question was asked in a recent exam also. The same question. This was asked in a recent exam also. Okay. Excuse me. So, do excuse me. So, do connect with me, and I'll guide you. Okay, how to do this. Actually, there's a big question that will take a lot of time. Okay, and we are time bound. Okay, we are restricted for finishing our revisions, our concepts basically within the allotted time, like that. Okay, yeah, do connect with me personally. Don't worry, I'll solve your query. That's not a problem. Many students are already connecting with me personally, so not an issue. Okay, students, the next one is activity based costing. Now, activity based costing is a similar concept to overheads. Here also you have to make the distribution. Okay, here also you have to make the distribution upon like of the various expenses. Okay, here also we have to make the distribution of the various expenses, but we'll distribute the expenses over activities over here, and these activities will be ultimately distributed over various products. The problems based on activity based costing are actually big ones. Remember that the problems based on activity based costing are not smaller ones. They are generally the large questions, okay, where you have two kinds of drivers. One is a resource cost driver and second is an activity cost driver. So resource cost driver actually measures the quantity of resources, and activity cost driver measures like how far is the activity getting utilized, or how frequently the activities are getting used by that particular product. Okay, so these are two cost drivers over there. What we normally do in this chapter is overheads are distributed first to activities, and then activities are distributed to cost object with the help of drivers. To be very frank, in the given questions, whatever are there, you don't have to do this. That will be already done in the question. You will be given the cost of various activities. You just have to distribute it over the various cost objects. Okay, it is also same as what we used to do in overheads. Okay, I'll take up an example for this, but I'll give you one brief also for ABC. See, activity based costing is actually a better analysis of the overheads than the traditional absorption costing. In the traditional costing, what we used to do is whatever are the overheads, okay, whatever are the overheads, what we used to do is whatever the number of overheads, yeah, whatever the total of overheads are, we simply divide it by the total of labor hours or the total of machine hours, and we find the rate per hour. Okay, we directly divide it by the total of labor hours or machine hours, and we find the rate per hour and directly charge it to various products. But in what do you say, ABC, activity based costing, what we do is we take the overheads, we distribute it first of all in various activities. Like suppose a overhead is there of the purchase department. We'll distribute it over calling of tenders, okay, making advertisements. So various activities what are there in the department, will distribute the overheads over to that. And whichever product is requiring more of that particular what do you say activity, will distribute that activity cost to more to that particular product. So that is basically kind of a better management of overheads as compared to the traditional costing. Obviously, the steps are more. Here you will have to distribute the overheads to activities and then activities to cost objects. In traditional costing or in absorption costing, what we used to do is we directly used to distribute the overheads on the basis of labor hours, machine hours, rent, or like that. Okay. Now, students, the activities in this which we are going to normally use to distribute the expenses, they can be unit level activities, they can be batch level activities, they can be product level activities, or facility level activities. Unit level activities means what? There are some expenses which vary on the basis of number of units, like inspection of every item, indirect materials, consumables, they vary per unit basis. Batch level activities, there are some activities which vary on the basis of number of batches. number of setups, number of ordering. Okay, so they vary with every batch. There are some activities which are varying with every new product. So what is the difference between unit and product then? At a unit level is varying with every single unit, but this is varying with every new product. Suppose I am having like 4 products, like for example, let us say I'm offering the courses for CA Foundation Intermediate. Okay, CA Foundation is there, CA Intermediate is there. In CA Foundation, I'm having accounts, maths. In CA Intermediate, I'm having accounts, costing. Like these are my 4 products. Okay, but out of the 4 products, so like if I distribute it in terms of products, then 4 will be the base. But for all the 4 products, let's say I'm having 500 units. I'm having 500 different courses. So 500 will be the unit level. Like that, I have my 500 pen drives to sell. So 500 will be the unit level activity. Courses are only 4, so 4 products, but the total units of 4 products are 500. So unit level will be 500. Like that. Next is facility level activities. Basically, here the activities vary on a factory to factory basis, kind of. Okay, like maintenance of building, plant security, they vary on every factory basis. Now see this, how to calculate the cost per product using ABC. Suppose you have been provided with ordering cost, which is 64,000, delivery cost 140, shelf stocking cost 80,000. You have also been given that the number of purchase order for product 1 is 30, number of purchase order for product 2 is 50. Now understand this thing, ordering cost is related to this number of purchase orders. Number of deliveries, see deliveries total cost is 140 and we have made 110 deliveries for product 1 and 90 deliveries for product 2. Shelf stocking is 80 and we have seen that shelf stocking asked for product 1 is 220 and for product 2 is 180. Now how do I divide these expenses over to them? How do I divide these expenses? It's very simple. Can you tell me what will be the ordering cost for product 1? It's very simple. So I'll solve ordering for ordering. I'll solve for delivery. You tell me. For ordering, see the total cost is 64,000. In that 64,000, I have made 50 plus 30. I have made 80 orders. Right? 30 and 50. I have made 80 orders, and the cost was coming 64,000. So 80 orders, 64,000 is the cost. Right? So what is the cost per order? What is the cost per order? 64,000 divided by 80. So what is the cost per order? So 64,000 divided by 80. My cost per order is coming 800. And for product 1, I have placed 30 orders. So 800 into 30, 24,000 will be charged to product 1. Similarly, my cost per order is 800 and for product 2 I have made 50 orders. So 800 into 50, 40,000 will be charged to product 2. Right? Now, the way I have done for ordering, can you do for delivery? How much will be charged to product 1? Delivery cost is 1,40,000, out of which we have made 110 and 90. Basically, we have made 200 deliveries. We have made 200 deliveries. Now, can you tell me what will be charged to product 1? Come on, do calculate. Absolutely perfect. So 77,000 will be charged to product 1 and similarly the remaining amount, okay, will be charged to product 2. So you have got the idea how to distribute the activity based cost over various products. So what happens is in this particular topic, what you have to do is basically the total cost will be divided by the total of the activities. You will get the cost per activity driver and then you will distribute it over to the various products. Okay. Now the way you have calculated, see it is already given over here. 77 is what you have calculated and 63 will be for the next one, right? Bharat, your answer is correct. Perfect guys, perfect. Now students, let's do one thing. Let's take up a practical question on activity based costing, because this is a bigger questions. Okay, these are bigger questions. But when you are doing this, always remember some cost drivers like ordering and receiving materials. Number of purchase orders should be the cost driver. Setup of machine, number of setup should be the driver. Machining cost, machine hour, assembling cost, number of parts. Inspection, number of tests. Painting, number of parts. Supervising, direct labor hours. Okay, so these are some related cost drivers that you should know. Now students, take up a proper example. Let's take up illustration number 2. Come to illustration number 2, please. MST Limited has collected the following data for its two activities. It calculates activity cost rates based on the cost driver capacity. It calculates activity cost rates. Power they have given kilowatt hour is the base. Capacity 50,000 kilowatt hours. Okay, cost is 2 lakh. For product M, we have used 10,000 kilowatt hours. For S, there was 20,000 hours, and for T, 15,000 hours. Similarly, for quality inspection, number of inspection is the driver, 10,000 inspections, and 3 lakh is the cost. Now, students, first of all, calculate. They have asked you the cost allocated to each product from each activity. Do one thing. Can you calculate what is the cost per kWh? For this, what is the cost per kWh? What is the cost per kWh? For 50,000 kilowatt hours, the total cost is 2 lakh. 50,000 kWh, the cost is 2 lakh. So what is the cost per driver? Cost per unit of driver, per unit of cost driver. So for 50,000 kilowatts, we are spending 2 lakh rupees. Yes, Sri Raksha, Sadish, your answers are correct. Arya, Bharat, uh, Shiv Karthik, Abhijit, Samitha, Shreya, all your answers are correct. So for 50,000 kWh, we are spending 2 lakh rupees as the cost. So what is the cost per unit of driver? Cost per unit of kilowatt hour is rupees 4. Similarly, students, for 10,000 inspections, our total cost is coming 3 lakh. For 10,000 inspections, our total cost is coming 3 lakh. So in that case, my total cost for one inspection will be rupees 30, right? Rupees 30 will be my cost per inspection, right? Now, we have understood the cost for inspections and everything. Okay, we have understood the cost for inspection and everything. This is what you have to do. Okay, whatever is the capacity and the cost, always divide it to get for the per unit of the driver. Now, students, for M, we have what do you say? Utilize 10,000 kilowatt hours. So what will be the cost for M? We all know 10,000 hours. Okay, and for 1 hour, 4 was the rate. So 10,000 into 4, 40,000 is the power cost. And for inspection, we know that 30 rupees is the cost. 3,500 inspections were done for M. So 3,500 into 30, I guess 1,05,000, okay, is the cost for product M. That is the inspection cost for product M. I hope everybody you have understood how you have to do. With the help of the basic data first, calculate the cost per unit of driver, and then what you have to do is you simply have to whatever the number of hours I have been given, you simply multiply it by the per cost per unit of the driver, and then you will get the total cost. उसको जो आपने कॉस्ट पर ड्राइवर निकाला है इससे मल्टीप्लाई कर दीजिए तो आपका आंसर आ जाएगा. ठीक है, तो स्टूडेंट्स मुझे एक बात बताइए, टी का कितना होगा बेटा? टी का मुझे किलोवाट का भी बता दो और क्वालिटी इंस्पेक्शन का भी. कौन स्पेस बार देख के आंसर भेज दीजिएगा. टी का मुझे बता दीजिए बेटा, टी का कितना आंसर आएगा? टी का आंसर कितना आएगा? Come on, do calculate for T. Audible? Am I audible? Okay, actually the lights went off, so it got disconnected for a minute. Now, uh, let's start. Okay, so you have done it appropriately. Okay, 10,000, 15,000 into 4, that is 60,000, and 3,000 into 30, that is 90,000. So 60,000 and 90,000 is absolutely perfect. Okay, this way you have to do. Similarly, I'll take one more. Okay, I'll take one more. Now, students, this is a question which is actually a bigger one. Okay, or I'll do one thing. Yes, see this family store question, which is on the third question, unsolved. Okay, the family store wants information about the profitability of individual product lines, soft drinks, fresh produce, and packaged food. Family store provides the following information. They have given you the revenues, they have given you the cost of goods sold. Okay, so these are as it is. You don't have to touch this. Okay, they are as it is. Now, cost of good bottles written, this is also as it is. Number of purchase orders placed. So they have given you some data now. Number of purchase order placed, number of deliveries received, number hours of shelf stocking time, items, how many items are sold. This data is not in numbers, not in rupees basically. This data is not in rupees. This data is something which we have to use to solve problems. Now he has given you like the for the various activities what is the cost and what is the cost allocation base. They have already given you the drivers also. Like for bottle return, 60,000 is the cost, and that is direct tracing to soft drink line. So there's a direct tracing. You don't have to touch it. That will directly go to the soft drink line. But ordering cost, the total cost is 7,80,000 rupees. There were 15,1560 purchase orders, and number of orders for a like soft drink, fresh produce, and packaged are 360, 840, and 360. Now, students, understand in this kind of questions how I have to divide this cost, over this products. Now, understand, I'll divide this by this first. So out by spending 3 lakh 7 lakh 80,000, I made 1560 orders. Divide it. Come on. So 7 lakh 80,000 divided by 1560. So I get my per purchase order cost as 500 rupees. 780 divided by 1560. I get for per purchase order, my cost is coming 500 rupees. So for soft drink, I made 360 orders. So 360 into 500, my answer is coming 1.5 lakh. My answer will come 1.5 lakh for this. Okay, 360 into 500, I think 1.8 lakh it is coming. So sorry, 1.8 lakh. Similarly, for 840 into 500 units, so that is coming 4.2 lakh. And for 360, again 1.8 lakh will be there. Now, if I take the total of this three, I'll get 7.8 lakh, which is matching with the total cost also. It is matching with the total cost also. There is nothing unutilized or something. I hope everybody has understood the sequence, right? Everybody has understood the sequence. Now, students, see the delivery. They have given you that the total cost is 1260. There were 3150 deliveries, And the deliveries for soft drink was 300, for fresh produce was 2190, and for package it was 660. Now you tell me what will be the cost that will be allocated to the soft drink, fresh produce, and packaged food. Come on, go for it. Divide this 1260 among soft drinks, fresh produce, and packaged foods. Come on, I'm waiting for your answer. I'm waiting for your answer. Come on, go for it. Divide this delivery cost among the soft drink, fresh produce, and the packaged food. So I've got the right answers from already Siddesh, Sriraksha, Vaishnavi, Samitha. Very, very good. All of you, your answers are correct. Arya, it is correct. Shreya, it is correct. Perfect. Perfect. So you have understood how you have to do in like this. ABC questions are going to be big ones. Remember, ABC questions are never going to be small ones. In fact, if you see the exam questions, if you see the questions which have come in the papers, every question was of 10 marks. Understand this. They will ask you the questions based on 10 marks only. So they are going to be big ones. So you will have to follow the sequence all the time. Divide the total cost by cost allocation base. Okay, divide the total cost by cost allocation base, and then whatever you get for the per unit, you'll simply multiply this. Okay, like number of orders and number of deliveries. We'll just keep on multiplying, and we'll get the total cost for each and every product. Okay, that way it works. So Abhijit, Srujan, Shikha, Bharat, your answers are correct, right? You have understood the sequence now, right? This is how it works. So activity based costing, it is easy but lengthy. It's easy actually. You just have to divide and then keep on multiplying this distribution like that. It is easy, but it is lengthy. Every problem will be for 10 marks from this chapter. Okay, remember. So this is how it is. Okay, now let's move ahead. So conceptually, we have completed the chapter. Is nothing actually much in this. There's some theory topics which you can definitely try. Activity-based management. Okay, so basically making your budgets on the basis of activities, and trying to find which are the value-added activities, which are the non-value adding activities, and then you will eliminate those activities, right? So this is how you do the activity-based cost management. Similarly, activity-based budgeting is there. Now, students, coming to the next part is actually one is like chapter is of a cost sheet and second is the cost accounting systems. Okay, one is cost sheet and second is cost accounting systems. We'll start with the cost sheet. Okay, we'll start with the cost sheet topic. Or I'll do one thing. I'll do one thing. Rather than solving a cost sheet, I feel we can start with the cost accounting systems. Okay, it got disconnected again. So now I think it should work fine. Okay, if I'm audible, I'm clearly audible now. So kindly send a thumbs up and do like the video. Okay. By the way, I normally not do not like to keep telling all my students, right? Keep liking and all that. They do it on their own only. I know that. Are you able to hear me? Okay, perfect. Ciao. Let's start. Okay, so next topic, what I'm taking as of now is the cost accounting systems. Okay, the topic is extremely easy, and I'll again tell you what is the recent paper patterns. What kind of questions have been coming in the recent papers. So, in the recent papers, see, in the recent papers, what I have seen is they are not asking you questions based on all the accounts. They are not asking you questions to prepare all the different accounts. What they are asking you more is the memorandum reconciliation account. Sometimes they are also asking you just to make the journal entries for few selected adjustments. Okay, so this is what is being nowadays more asked. Okay, so we'll also be looking at the chapter from that perspective only. Okay, obviously I'll be covering all the journal entries, I'll be covering all the like how we have to solve problems and all that, there's no doubt about it. But remember, from exam perspective, nowadays institute is focusing more on the memorandum reconciliation, basically reconcile between the costing and the like financial accounting, and the second one is the journal entries for some particular transactions. Now, what is cost accounting system? First of all, is basically maintaining the cost records, okay, in the form of accounts, like that. So there are two systems for that. One is non-integrated accounting system. Now, what is non-integrated accounting system? Basically, the costing department will maintain its own records. The accounting department will maintain its own records. Okay, so they will be entirely segregated. There will be a duplication of work. Like for example, we are purchasing raw materials, so cost accountant will also pass an entry, your financial accountant will also pass an entry. There is some duplication of work that's going to happen in a non-integrated accounting system. Okay, where you will have always two set of books. One will be the costing books and second will be the accounting books. So you'll have two set of books in a non-integrated accounting system. If I talk about the integrated accounting system, it's basically where in an integrated accounting system, what happens is basically the financial accounts and the cost accounts, okay, they are maintained in one single book only. They are maintained in one single ledger. So this avoids a lot of duplication of work, like raw material purchase, goods sold. You don't, the cost accountant and the financial accountant, they both do not have to record it again and again like that. So one entry will make the effects for both of them. Okay, like that. So that is an integrated accounting system in this case. Obviously integrated are much better, right? Because in integrated you don't have to do that duplication of work, your resources are saved. But there's one problem, like for integrated you should have a clear cut idea, you should have a very good person in accounting who can understand that this relates to the cost, which relates to the financial accounts. Now I'll ask you a very simple question: where do we have to make a reconciliation? If the accounts are made on a non-integrated basis or in an integrated basis? Tell me, non-integrated or integrated, where do we have to make a reconciliation between the cost accounting profits and the accounting financial accounting profits? In which case do we have to make a reconciliation? In which case do we have to make a reconciliation? Very good, Siddesh. So basically, perfect. Abhijit, Omkar, Arya, Srujan, absolutely. Abhijit, Omkar. This I was not expecting. Arya, Srujan, your answers are correct. Yes, Sri Raksha, your answer is correct. याद रखिए, जब दोनों अलग अलग बुक्स होंगी ना, तभी तो उसको रिकंसाइल करने की जरूरत पड़ेगी. Right, when you are maintaining two different records, when your accounts record is different, your costing record is different, then there is a need to reconcile. अगर दोनों एक ही आपने रखा हुआ है, एक ही किताब में है, तो फिर रिकंसाइल किससे करना है? Understand, when you are having two separate books of accounts, costing is different, accounts is different, and when you are making two separate books, two separate profits you are getting, then there is a need to reconcile those profits. But if you are maintaining a single integrated system, then there is no need of reconciling that, right? In a single integrated system, there is no need of reconciling the books, because there are no two profits, there will be only one profit then in that case, right? I hope you have understood. So this reconciliation topic is relevant for only the non-integrated concept. Okay, the non-integrated books of account. So non-integrated, that is for which is reconciliation is relevant. Now students, let's pass some journal entries with respect to some basic transactions like purchase goods for cash or credit. Now first of all, if I'm talking about the non-integrated system, okay, I'm talking about the non-integrated system. In non-integrated system, we do not have the cash account. Non-integrated system is basically where the cost accountant will maintain only and only cost accountant will maintain only and only cost records. He is not going to maintain the bank account. He is not going to maintain the what do you say supplier account. He is not going to maintain the fixed asset account or the investments account, right? So cost account do not have those accounts. So what cost account do is, suppose if he is purchasing the goods for cash, so he'll pass the entry material control account debit or maybe stores control account debit, because stores are coming in or raw materials are coming in. So raw material control account debit to cost ledger control account. Sir, what is this cost ledger control? This is kind of a contra account which represents all other accounts. See, the cost accountant, when he is trying to pass an entry for the purchase of materials, the problem what happens is, the cost accountant do not have the accounts for the bank. He do not have the accounts for creditors. He do not have the accounts for debtors and like that. So what he does is to replicate all the other accounts, to keep a contra account for all those other accounts. He always refer to them with the help of the cost ledger control account. There is one more name to this cost ledger control, and the name for that cost ledger control is GLA, General Ledger Adjustment Account. Okay, so that is one more account which you can maintain in place of cost ledger control. Okay, General Ledger Adjustment Account. Now students, I have purchased goods for cash. I'll pass the entry material control account debit to cost ledger control. Okay, even if I buy on credit, the entry will be same. Okay, so sometimes I'll directly write raw material control account or maybe store ledger control account. Both are acceptable. Both are acceptable. So students, in a non-integrated system, if I buy the goods, the entry will be raw material control to cost ledger control. Now, suppose I have purchased goods for a special job, so that will directly go to the work in process. So work in process ledger control account debit to CLC. If I'm returning the materials to the vendor, the entry will get reversed. CLC to the store ledger control account, right? CLC, the creditor will be debited. Okay, so CLC account debit to store ledger control. Now students, whenever I issue materials to production, what happens is raw materials is going to production. So WIP will get debited to store ledger control, right? WIP will get debited to store ledger control. This is how it works, right? This is how it works. Now students, sometimes reverse may happen. Like I have issued materials to the production, then WIP to stores. When WIP, the production department returns some goods to me, the entry will be store ledger control to the WIP control. Okay, this way it happens. So these are some basic entries what we are trying to discuss. Okay, now always remember, like for example, I'm making a payment for wages. I'm taking some important entries now. Suppose I made a payment for wages and I made like 10,000 wages payment, out of which 8,000 are direct wages and 2,000 are indirect wages. Okay, so 2,000 are indirect wages. So what entry will I pass as a cost accountant in a non-integrated system? I'll pass an entry wages control account debit 10,000 to cost ledger control 10,000. Remember, wages control account debit how much? 10,000, entire 10,000, maybe direct, maybe indirect, to cost ledger control 10,000. Now I'll make a breakup. Okay, out of this 10,000, 8,000 is direct and 2,000 is indirect. So direct wages will go to WIP. It will be charged to production. WIP is basically production. So WIP control account debit 8,000. 2,000 is indirect. So it will go to production overheads. Production overhead control account debit 2000 to wages control. So this is how we have to pass the entries, right? I hope everybody has understood. Whenever you are paying the wages, first wages control to cost ledger control, and then segregate the wages between WIP and the production overhead for direct wages and indirect wages. Students, so this is how normally happens. Now, after sometimes what will happen, I'll incur some production overheads. Entry will be production overhead to CLC because I don't have the bank account, right? The production overhead to cost ledger control. Then this production overheads will be charged to production. The entry will be WIP control to the production overhead control. Okay. Now, students, let me ask you one question. Okay, you will write in shortcuts. Okay, you will write always in short forms. Now you tell me, if the goods are ready and from like if the goods are ready, if the finished products are ready, what entry will you pass? Like earlier it was work in progress. Okay, now the goods are ready and transferred to the finished section. Okay, now you tell me what will be the entry for that. Come on, what will be the entry for that? The goods are ready now. So from the process department, from the production department, I'll shift it to the warehouses. I'll shift it to my production department, finished goods department. What entry will I pass? On what entry will I pass? Very good, Omkar, Abhijit. Siddesh, your entry is wrong. Okay, Siddesh, you have reversed the entry by mistake. The goods are ready, my son. The goods are ready. The goods will be transferred from the process to the finished goods. Understand this. So Bharat, Arya, then I have Bhavya, Sanmita, all of you, your answers are correct. Okay, you can always use shortcuts. Okay, you don't have to write the entire words. You can simply write FG to WIP. Finish. Okay, you can write FG to WIP. No, Srujan, it's not cost of sales, beta. They have not been sold yet. I have just told you the goods are ready. Okay, so from WIP they will move to finished goods. The entry will be finished goods control account debit to WIP control. Okay, finished goods control account debit to WIP control. Now, students, once you have got this entry, okay, after that, what will happen, students? After that, what will happen? Once the goods are sold, I'll transfer the finished goods to the cost of sales account. The entry will be cost of sales to the finished goods control account. Okay, the cost of sales to finished goods control account. So this is how the entries are passed. Now, let me ask you, see, if I pay the administrative overheads, I'll pass the entry administrative overhead control account debit to cost ledger control. To cost ledger control. My pen is giving problem again. Okay, what is happening? I don't understand. So administrative overhead control account debit to cost ledger control. Similarly, when I am making some selling overheads, so selling overhead control debit, selling overhead control debit to cost ledger control. I'm paying the selling overheads. Now they both will be transferred to which account? Will it be transferred to the finished goods control account or will it be transferred to the cost of sales account? The answer is they both will be transferred directly to the cost of sales account. The entry will be cost of sales account debit, cost of sales account debit to administrative overhead control to selling overhead control. Okay, so this is how it works. Remember that. And finally, whatever the goods are sold, they are already in cost of sales, and from cost of sales, they will be transferred to like the costing profit and loss account. Okay, they will be transferred to costing profit and loss account. I hope everybody is clear with those entries. But any doubts in the basic entries? Any doubt in the basic entries? Let's do one thing. Let's take up this question for journal entry purposes. Students, let's discuss some entries. Finished product at cost. These goods are ready. From WIP, it is going to finished goods. What journal entry will I pass? I'll pass the journal entry WIP. So sorry. Finished goods control account debit to WIP control account. Right? These goods are ready. So from WIP, it will be transferred to the finished goods. So entry will be finished goods control account debit to WIP control account. Manufacturing overhead incurred. What entry shall I pass? When the manufacturing overheads I'm incurring, I'm paying the manufacturing overheads. So entry will be manufacturing overhead control account debit to. Obviously, I don't have the bank account, so I'll refer cost ledger control account, right? Manufacturing overhead and control account to cost ledger control. Now, students, you may say, sir, this manufacturing overhead will be charged to production also. We are having a separate amount for that, so we'll pass a separate entry afterwards. Raw material purchase. I have purchased raw materials for 1,23,000. What entry will I pass? Store ledger control account debit, or maybe raw material control account debit to bank. Okay, bank I'm not having, so I'll refer to cost ledger control. Next, factory wages, that is 5530, and indirect labor is given. See, so there is direct wages and indirect wages, both of them are given. I have told you I'll pass the common entry for both of them. Okay, for direct wages and indirect wages, add this to 50,530 plus 50,530 plus 21,665. Okay, so total is coming 72,195. So I'll pass a direct entry for this too. The entry will be wages control account debit to CLC 72,195, right? So wages control, entirely wages will be debited to 72,190, to wages control account to cost ledger. Then after that, I'll pass one more entry. I'll pass one more entry. WIP account debit 5530. Then you have production overheads or manufacturing overhead control account debit 21,665 to wages control 72,195. So this two entries I'll pass for this. Cost of sales. This from finished goods they are getting transferred to the cost of sales. Entry will be cost of sales to finished goods. Students, now I'm asking you answer this question. Material issued to production. Come on. I'm not telling you answer. You will answer this. Material issued to production. Material issued to production. Come on, go for it. Material issued to production. Very, very good. Okay. So material issued to production. I got the right entries from Malika. I got the no Omkar. Your entry was wrong. Abhijit, your entry is correct. Bharat, Arya, Samitha, Sanmitha, and then Sriraksha, Bhavya, Ikha. All your answers are correct. Okay, Srujan, your answer is correct. Okay, so the entry will be WIP control account debit to store ledger control account, right? From stores, it is going to WIP. Okay, so WIP control account debit to store ledger control. Similarly, sales return at cost. So from cost of goods sold, like from cost of sales, it will be again transferred to the finished goods. So finished goods control account debit to cost of sales for this. Material returned to supplier. This we are returned from the stores. We are returning it back to the supplier. Entry will be cost ledger control account debit because we don't have the supplier account with us. So cost ledger control account debit to material control account, and manufacturing overhead charge to production. Entry will be WIP control account debit to manufacturing overhead control. Okay, WIP control account debit to manufacturing overhead control. So these are the entries that will pass, and we'll keep on finding the balancing figures and shift it from this account to that account. So this way it works. Okay, these are very easy problems. Next, after that, if I talk about integrated system, students, if I talk about integrated system means what? The students, integrated system means that you are having the bank account also, you are having the cash account also. Okay, you are having almost every account. Remember that. So that's an integrated system. Let me ask you some entries for the integrated system. Generalize the following transactions assuming the cost and financial transactions are integrated. Raw material purchased. What entry will I pass for raw material purchase? Store ledger control account debit to bank. So I'm having the bank account. Now costing and accounts records are together. So I'm having the bank account also, I'm having the supplier account also, I'm having bad debt also, I'm having a customer account also, I'm having dividend also, everything is there now. So raw material purchase, so entry will be store ledger control account debit to bank account. I'm having the bank account. So in this case, I will never make the cost ledger control account or the general ledger adjustment account. There's no need for that because I have all the respective accounts. Direct material issued to production. So again, WIP to raw material control. Wages paid 1,20,000, of which 30% is indirect. I'll pass the entry. Wages control account debit 1,20,000 to bank account 120. I'm not passing cost ledger control because bank account is there. So wages control account debit 120 to bank account 120. Then out of this 30% is indirect and 70% is direct. So I'll pass the entry. WIP control account debit 70%. Okay, so WIP control account debit, that will be 84,000. Then you have the manufacturing overhead control account or maybe production overhead control account debit 36,000 to wages control 1,20,000. So this way we'll pass the entries for this. Okay. Then you have the wages charged to production. Entry will be obviously WIP control to the wages control. We have already actually done that, 84,000. Manufacturing expenses incurred were 82 but charged to production were incurred were 84 but charged to production were 92. I'll pass the entry. Manufacturing expenses incurred, see, they are 84,000 rupees. So I'll pass the entry for that. The entry will be manufacturing overhead control account debit to bank account, and when I'll charge to production, it will be WIP control account debit to manufacturing overhead control account. Okay, so that way I'll pass the entries. Okay, I hope everybody is getting clear. Any doubts till now? Any doubts? Now, some interesting entries: receipts from debtors, so bank to debtors, payment to creditors, creditors to bank, like that. So the normal entries will be as it is. It is a a combo of accounts as well as a costing, right? It's a combo of accounting and costing records. Now, students, any doubts in the integrated and non-integrated stuff? Any doubts in the integrated and the non-integrated accounts? Any particular topic, any particular thing which you want? Okay, so the next part will be the reconciliation. The next part is the reconciliation between the cost and the financial accounts. Okay, so now, first of all, I have already told you that the reconciliation is mandatory only in case of non-integrated accounting systems, not in the case of integrated accounting. Okay, it is mandatory, it is required only in the case of non-integrated accounting system. The reason is very, very simple. The reason is, if you have an integrated system, then obviously, the profit which you are getting under both the sections, okay, it is the same. The profits which you are getting in both the sections, if you have the integrated system, you are having only one profit, so you don't have to reconcile it. But if you are having a non-integrated system, if you are having two separate books of account, then you have to merge them, and that is where there are records, so you have to reconcile those profits, and that is where need arises for such reconciliations. अगर एक ही रिकॉर्ड रहा तो फिर ऑब्वियसली बात है रिकंसिलिएशन की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन एक से ज्यादा अगर आप रख रहे हो, मतलब मान लेते हैं आप कॉस्टिंग अलग रख रहे हो, अकाउंट्स अलग रख रहे हो, तो फिर जरूरत फील होगी, तो एक नीड अराइज होगी ऑफ रिकंसाइलिंग बिटवीन द कॉस्ट रिकॉर्ड्स एंड द अकाउंटिंग रिकॉर्ड्स. नाउ ये जब आप कर रहे हैं तो आपको पता होना चाहिए पहले कि कौन कौन सी चीजें ऐसी हैं जो सिर्फ अकाउंट्स में आती है, वो कौन सी चीजें हैं जो सिर्फ कॉस्टिंग में आती हैं, और वो कौन सी चीजें हैं जो क्या बोलते हैं, दोनों में भी आती हैं. नाउ फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई विल डिस्कस अबाउट द आइटम्स विच आर इंक्लूडेड इन ओनली एंड ओनली अकाउंट्स, like for example interest on loans or bank mortgages, expense or discount on issue of shares, debentures, etc., loss by fire, etc., losses on sale of fixed assets, investments. Okay, so these are all purely financial. Interest on loan is given, expense discount on issue of shares is given, other capital losses have been given, loss on sale of fixed assets or investments have been given, goodwill written off, preliminary expenses written off, income tax, donations, subscriptions, expense on company share transfer office. So these are purely financial. What does it mean by purely financial? It means that they do not come in cost records. They will only and only be a part of your financial accounts. So obviously they are affecting the profits. Like for example, if I pay interest on loan, my accounts profit will be lower, but costing profit will not change because this is not coming in costing. Goodwill written off, okay, my accounts profit will drop, but accounts like costing profit will not change. Income tax, costing profit, accounts profit will drop, costing profit will not change. So these are purely financial expenses which will reduce the accounting profits, but it will not affect the costing profits. Similarly, there are some purely financial incomes also, which will increase the accounting profits but will not touch the costing profits, like dividends received, interest received on bank deposits, loans, rent received, transfer fee received, profit on sale of fixed assets, investments. They are all part of accounts. They are all increasing the profits in accounts, but they do not impact the profits on costing. So obviously बात है, इससे difference create हो जाएगा. Similarly, there are certain items which are part of only and only cost records, which are not the part of the financial records. Now, what are they? Like for example, charges in lieu of rent where premises are owned, basically rent of owned property, interest on owned capital, salary of the proprietor, depreciation for assets which are fully nil in the books of account. So there are certain expenses which can be included in costing but will not be included in accounting. This may like there's a notional expenses, so this will reduce the costing profit but will not affect the accounting profit. Similarly, so one we have seen, like there are some expenses which are only financial, some expenses which are only financial, and then we have seen some items which are purely in cost records, like interest on own capital and like that. Now there are certain items where the treatment is entirely different in the two set of accounts. The best example is when you are valuing inventories. When you are valuing inventories, so in accounts, we all know we have to follow the accounting standards. हमें accounting standards follow करना पड़ता है. अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स के अंदर बेटा आपको AS2 जो है वो कहता है कि आप FIFO कर सकते हैं या वेटेड एवरेज कॉस्ट कर सकते हैं, बट कॉस्टिंग में देयर इज नो कंपल्शन, यू कैन इवन गो फॉर LIFO. So it is possible that cost records may use a LIFO system, but accounting records may use a FIFO system. So if the treatment is different in both books of accounts, obviously बात है वो different profit दिखाएंगे. So you have to reconcile this kind of items also. Similarly, the valuation basis may be different. Like for example, if there are some goods with you, as per cost records, they have to be measured at cost. But in accounts, we measure it at cost or market price, whichever is lower, right? Cost or net realizable value, whichever is lower. So understand, so there are some varying basis of valuation also. In cost records, we measure the inventories at cost, but in accounts, we measure the inventories at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. So obviously बात है, इन दोनों में अगर मान लो कॉस्ट से कम अगर एनआरवी हो गई तो अकाउंट्स वाला एनआरवी पे लेकर आ जाएगा और कॉस्टिंग वाला कॉस्ट पर ही रखेगा, तो ऑब्वियस बात है दोनों का प्रॉफिट सेम नहीं आएगा. Both the profits are going to be different. I hope it is clear with everyone. Now we have to make a reconciliation. Now there are some questions where you have to first make the accounts records and calculate the accounting profit. Then you have to make a cost sheet and find the like costing profit, and then you have to reconcile. So there are some questions like that, but this will be obviously again the big ones. Okay, but the popular ones, the ones which normally do come in exam, are based on a memorandum reconciliation account. The problems which are normally coming in exam is where you can make it in terms of a statement form. Okay, आप एक statement बना के भी profits as per cost records और financial records को match कर सकते हैं. Okay, so I'll take up that example. हम वो example भी class में solve करेंगे. Come to students. See this. Measures HK Piano Company showed a net loss of 4,16,000 as per financial account for year ended 31st March. The cost accounts, however, disclosed a net loss of 3,28,000 for the same period. The following information was revealed as a result of scrutiny of the figures. As a result of scrutiny of the figures of both set of books, factory overheads under recovered, administrative overhead over recovered, depreciation charge in accounts, depreciation charge in cost, interest on investment not included in cost, income tax provided, transfer fee credit in financial books, stores adjustment. You have been asked to prepare a memorandum reconciliation account. Come on, let's go for it. Let's prepare a memorandum reconciliation account. Sir, how to prepare it? It's a kind of a normal account. Okay, it's just like a normal account. Come on, let's make up an account, please. So this is a memorandum reconciliation account. They have given you that the net loss, as per financial accounts was 416. However, costing disclosed a net loss of 3,28,000. So I'll start with the, in fact, okay, they have not given what base you have to take. Okay, we otherwise in some questions what happens is they normally also provide you that what you have to exactly take as the base. You have to take the base of the cost records, or you have to take the base of the accounting profit. Like what exactly do you have to take the base? Sometimes it is not given. Okay, sometimes it is given and sometimes it is not given. So this time, okay, you tell me what to follow the base. कहाँ से शुरू करूं? Do you want to start with the financial loss or you want to start with the cost accounting loss? आप जिससे बोले बेटा हम उससे स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं. आप जिससे बोलेंगे बेटा हम उससे स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं. फाइनेंशियल लॉस या कॉस्ट अकाउंटिंग लॉस? कम ऑन जल्दी से बताएं. आप जिससे बोलेंगे बेटा हम उससे स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं। कौन? कॉस्टिंग लॉस या क्या बोलते हैं फाइनेंशियल लॉस? जो आपको पसंद है बेटा, जो आपको पसंद है हम लोग उससे स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं। कॉस्टिंग लॉस और फाइनेंशियल लॉस। Okay, so I'll go with the majority. Okay, what is the majority? So got some responses for costing and a few responses for financial accounting. Okay, okay. So till now the majority is with costing. Come on. Till now the majority is with costing. We can start with anything. Remember that both of them. We just have to change the sides, nothing else. We will just have to change the sides. Okay. So I'll go with the majority, and the majority is going with the cost records. So I'll start with the cost records. So to net loss as per cost records. Net loss as per cost records. What is the net loss? So 3,28,000. 3,28,000 is the net loss as per cost accounting records. Okay. 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 So I have started with that. So to the net loss as per cost records is 3,28,000. Now students understand, whenever you are making the statement, okay, whenever you are making the statements, anything which increases, understand, anything which increases the loss of for example, anything which increases the loss will have to be added, and anything which reduces the loss will have to be reduced. Just a second, no? Yes, we'll start. Okay. So students, anything which requires, which increases the loss have to be added, and anything which reduces the loss should be reduced. Okay. So remember that. Now come to it. Okay. Let's say the cost records disclose the net loss of 328, and we have to go till 4,16,000. The first case is given factory overheads under recovered. Now students, what happens is factory overheads under recovered. It means that factory overhead is undercharged in costing. Okay, factory overhead is undercharged in costing. It means what? See, under recovered or undercharged in costing, it means that the expense what you have booked in costing is actually on a lower side. Okay, it's actually on a lower side. We have, see, is actually on a lower side. So factory overheads under recovered means what? The expense what we have charged in the costing, okay, that is lesser. So if the expense in costing is lesser, so obviously बात है उसका loss भी क्या होगा? उसका loss ज्यादा होगा या कम होगा? जरा सोचिए. फैक्ट्री ओवरहेड्स अंडर रिकवर्ड है, क्या करेंगे बेटा इसको? और एक काम करते हैं बेटा, आई डू वन थिंग. आई थिंक शायद आपको अंडर ओवर में है ना थोड़ा ज्यादा दिक्कत आएगा. तो व्हाट आई सजेस्ट इज, पहले हम लोग है ना एक तो क्या है, लॉस दिया हुआ है ना, ये बड़ा दिक्कत है. प्रॉफिट से रहता था ना, बहुत इजी रहता था. ठीक है, चलिए इजी से करते हैं हम लोग. फिर एक काम करते हैं स्टूडेंट्स, लेट्स स्टार्ट विथ ट्रांसफर फी. पहले इजी से स्टार्ट करता हूं, क्या हो जाएगा बेटा? इजी से स्टार्ट करेंगे, कंफ्यूजन नहीं होगा. ट्रांसफर फी इज अ क्रेडिट इन फाइनेंशियल बुक्स. ट्रांसफर फी से इज अ क्रेडिट इन फाइनेंशियल बुक्स. क्रेडिट इन फाइनेंशियल बुक्स का मतलब क्या है? बेसिकली अकाउंट्स में एक इनकम है. ठीक है, ट्रांसफर फीस एक अकाउंट्स में एक इनकम है. बेटा अकाउंट्स में इनकम है तो अकाउंट्स का लॉस कम हो चुका होगा. अंडरस्टैंड दिस. व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इज, there suppose the loss under the cost records and the financial records is the same. Okay, the loss under the cost records and the financial records is the same. I am booking transfer fee, I am booking some income in accounts. Now what happens if I book an income in accounts, what happens is my loss will get reduced. My loss in accounts will get reduced, but my costing loss is higher still because this profit is not there in the cost records. So I have to reduce the costing loss to get to the financial loss. So what will I do is, I'll write on the other side by transfer fee. By transfer fee. $2,000. So by transfer fee, I'll write 2,000. I hope you have understood now. I'm repeating it again. I'm repeating it again. What happens is, basically when there is a transfer fee, there is a transfer fee is actually a credit in the books. Okay, so credit is basically income. So accounts is showing that income. Okay, accounts is showing that income, but the problem is accounts was in a loss. So if I show income, the loss will get reduced. The loss will not increase, the loss will get reduced, and I have to bring my cost records loss to the accounting records loss. So I have to reduce the loss. Have you really understood this? What I have just done? How many of you have actually understood this? Have you really understood what I have done? Or shall I try some other way to do this? Okay, only few students have understood. Fine. Okay. Okay. Let me try some other way to put it. Yes, definitely you can do like that. Definitely you can do like that. Suppose students starting point is profit as per cost records. What is the starting point? Profit as per cost records. Starting point is profit as per cost records. Then financial expenses and financial incomes. Financial incomes have to be added and financial expenses have to be reduced. Extremely simple way of doing this. If you are starting with the costing profit, okay, understand profit under costing and accounting should be same. But if I'm starting with, like, I'm starting with the costing profit, I want to start with the costing profit and there is an income in my financial books. Let my left hand be the costing records and let my right hand be the this income financial books. So if in my financial books there is an extra income which is coming in my financial books, my income is shooting up, okay, and my in my costing there is no income, okay, so I'll have to add up. I hope you have understood. Suppose for example, selling of goods, I sold goods, like I made a profit of 1 lakh from selling goods. I made a profit of 1 lakh from selling goods. What will happen? The costing will also show a profit of 1 lakh and financially also the profit will be of 1 lakh. If I make a students, if I sell goods at a profit, my cost records will also show a profit of 1 lakh, and my financial records will also show a profit of 1 lakh, right? If I sell the goods, so the profits will be the same. But suppose if I receive a dividend income, I receive a financial income, let's say 50,000, which is not there in the cost records. So my cost records will show an income of 1 lakh, and my financial records will show an income of 1 lakh 50,000. Now I have to make a reconciliation and start with this and go to this, right? So what will happen is, if I am starting with the costing profit, then any financial profits have to be added. Add 50,000, okay, add 50,000 to get this. Okay, so any financial profit is always to be added. Okay, any financial profit have to be added. I hope now it is clear. Like if I start with costing profit, any financial incomes have to be added and any financial expenses have to be reduced. Is it clear? At least this one. Any financial income have to be added and any financial expenses have to be reduced. If I start with costing profit, is it clear till now over here? Both of them were having 1 lakh profit. There was a financial income of dividend. Okay, there was a financial income of dividend, so the profit got increased, it came to 150. So from costing profit, if I have to go to accounts profit, I must add. So the rule is very simple. If I start with costing profit, any financial income have to be added and any financial expenditure have to be reduced. Now what are the financial expenditures? Like income tax is a financial expenditure, bad debt is a financial expenditure, okay, which is not there in the cost records, okay, which is not there in the cost records. Now students, I'll talk about the expenses undercharged or overcharged. Now I'll talk about the expenses which are undercharged or overcharged. Suppose costing and accounts. Again, I made a profit of 1 lakh. I made a profit of 1 lakh from selling of goods in both the situations, in accounts also, in costing also. I made a profit of 1 lakh in selling the goods. Now, I charged overheads. Let us say I charged depreciation, and depreciation was 20,000 in costing and depreciation was 25,000 in accounts. Have you understood? I have booked an expenditure. First of all, this is an expenditure. I have booked an expenditure of 20,000 in costing and 25,000 in accounting. First of all, is this case under absorption or over absorption? I am overcharging in accounts. So from costing perspective, in costing my expense is lesser. I'll say the actual expense is more, but in my costing it is lesser. So I'll say there is a under absorption. There is a under absorption. What will happen? Out of 1 lakh, 20,000 is the expenditure. So 80,000 is the profit left. And here 75,000 is the profit left. So if there is an under absorption of the expenditure in costing, obviously, if there is any under absorption, I must add or reduce from costing profit to accounts profit if I have to go. If there is an under absorption, okay, so obviously my costing profit is coming higher. If there is an under absorption, understand, if there is an under absorption in costing, then my costing profit is actually higher. So I must reduce it to go to the accounting profit. Have you understood this now? If I see, sir, how is it under absorption? See, I have assumed that the depreciation in costing is 20,000 and depreciation accounts is 25,000. So depreciation is lesser in costing. It means it is under absorbed. So Because it is under absorbed, the profit is in costing is higher and the profit in accounts is lower. Okay, so if there is any under absorption, I must reduce the under absorption. The gap is of 5,000. I must reduce 5,000 to come to the accounting profit. Okay, now we can conclude this. If I'm starting with the cost accounting profits, if I'm starting with costing profits, then under absorption will be under absorption. Okay, खर्चा हमने कम बुक किया है, should be reduced, and over absorption, ये दोनों as per cost records. ओके, मतलब कॉस्टिंग के हिसाब से should be added. Have you understood this? Have you understood this? Is it clear? Is it very clear? Is it like still you are having some problems? If I'm starting with costing profit, financial expenses have to be reduced, financial incomes to be added, under absorptions and costing to be reduced, and over absorptions to be added. Is it clear? Come on. Perfect. Now, students, if you are starting with costing profit, then these are the rules. Then if you are starting with cost accounting loss, the rules will get reversed. If you are starting with costing profit, these are the rules. Then if you are starting with cost accounting loss, the rules will get reversed. Okay, so the minus will become plus, the plus will become minus, minus will become plus, and plus will become minus. If I start with costing loss, is this point clear? If I start with costing loss now, then what will happen? Financial expenses will be added, financial incomes will be reduced, under absorptions will be added, and over absorptions will be reduced. I hope you have understood this point. I've just changed the rules because I am starting with costing loss now and not the profit. Now, students, if it is clear, okay, if it is clear, then I'll apply the same rules over here. See the rules. Financial expenses to be added, incomes to be reduced, under absorptions to be added, over absorptions to be reduced. So this was a financial income. Financial income is to be reduced, and reduce. How will I reduce? This is written in the debit side. If I have to reduce, I must write it on the credit side. I hope I'm making sense now. It was written on the debit side. I have to reduce it, so I must write it on the credit side. Well, that. Next, I'll suggest you kindly make a note of this in your notebook somewhere. If I start with costing profit, financial incomes are added, expenses are reduced, under absorptions are reduced, and over absorptions are added. If I start with costing profit, and if I start with the loss, the rules are reversed. Now, students, I'm applying the same rules in the given question. You kindly make a note of it. Okay, take a minute and make a note of it. The starting point is costing profit, financial expenses are reduced, incomes are added, under absorptions are reduced, and over absorptions are added. Now I'll go now one by one. Factory overheads under recovered. So under recovery is there, right? What was the rule for under recovery? Under recovery is to be added. So how will I add? How will I add? This 3,28,000 is on the debit side. I have to add it. So I'll write it over here to factory overhead under recovered. I have got a query, okay, that sir, can't we take a negative balance as the base in the same rule and as costing profit? Yes, you can do that. Yes, you can do that. You can directly write negative and then apply the same rules. Like then you will apply this rules only. You don't have to apply the this one rule. If you write the figures in negative, then you will use the first one only. Okay, so it will become actually much easier for you to. Okay, it will actually become much easier for you. So we can do like that, but I have already mentioned in a loss over here. I have already mentioned, so I have already written the figure in positive. So I'm applying that. Okay. To factory overhead under recovered, if I talk about factory overhead under recovered, I know under absorptions have to be added. So I'm adding it over here. What is it? 6,000. Now, what is the next one? Administrative over recovered. Over recovered, obviously on the opposite side, by administrative overhead over recovered, that is 4,000. Depreciation charged in accounts and depreciation recovered in cost. Now you can see, is there under absorption or over absorption? See, this depreciation accounts is 120, but in costing it is 130. There is a over absorption. We know over absorptions have to be reduced. So by depreciation over absorbed 10,000. Depreciation over absorbed is 10,000. Next, interest on investment. It's a financial income. Remember the rule for financial income? That too is less, right? So it is less. Financial income is less. We have already done for the transfer fee. So by interest on investment, that is 20,000. Transfer fee was done. By stores adjustment, so I am not sure this stores adjustment is a profit or loss. What I am going to do is, they have clearly mentioned it's a credit in accounts. If it is a credit, it has to be an income, right? So it's an income in accounts, income, financial income. So by stores adjustment, how much? It's 2,000. Income tax, sorry, I forgot this income tax. Income tax was an expenditure, that's a financial expenditure. So to income tax. Now check what is the balancing figure. I'll write by net loss as per accounts, as per financial books. By net loss as per financial books, let's check that. So 328 plus 6,000 plus 1,20,000. So the total is coming 454 minus 2,000 minus 4,000 minus 1,000 minus 20,000 minus 2,000. It's coming 4,25,000. Was it the same? 416. 5, what item is missing? Okay, it was 10,000, right? So it's coming 416. Perfect. It's coming 4,16,000. Everybody understood this? So that way you can easily solve this kind of problems. You just have to remember some basic rules, and once you mug up these rules, once you remember these rules, it will be done. Okay, it will be always done. Any doubts, any queries you may have, please ask. Any doubts, any queries, if you may have, then you can ask. Is it clear? This topic is important from your exam perspective, memorandum, reconciliation account. Okay, so perfect, right? This is where we actually we can say this chapter is done, right? Because we have seen everything from this. Okay, the questions which will be asked will be mostly from the reconciliation part only. Okay, mostly from the reconciliation part, or maybe the journal entries. Nowadays they are asking more questions based on journal entries of the integrated and the non-integrated stuff. Okay, so please do prepare this well, and this is a very scoring topic as well. So that's it for this chapter. Okay, from this chapter, keep practicing. If you still have any doubts, you can get in touch with me. Okay, you can connect with me during the lecture also, or after that also. If the problems are bigger, if you are having a query in a bigger problem, then I'll ask you to connect with me personally. I'll solve your query. Okay, but the thing is, what happens is when we are doing this crash, obviously we don't have that much time. We can discuss bigger problems in this one. Okay, so thank you so much. Today we'll stop here. We have finished already 3 chapters for today. We have done the overheads, we have done activity-based costing and cost accounting systems. Okay, in the next session, we'll be doing this cost sheet first of all. We'll be taking up the cost sheet lecture. Okay, and then you will be taking the contract costing. Okay, job and contract. We have that unit and batch costing, right? So we'll be taking up those chapters. Okay, so thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow then. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.